7 of the 100 Days of Making Comics challenge. Last night was a good day. Well, yesterday was a good day. Work sort of leveled out again. Got a few special projects on the go, keeping me busy, which is good, but not too stressed, which is good. I'm sure that'll change in like a week, as it always does. Last night though, however, went home and had dinner and bathed April and whatnot, and was still feeling like I just couldn't be bothered going into the studio, and I'm, realizing like this is not a good thing, that I don't want to be sitting in there. I think a lot of it might have to do with sort of the isolation, and that look, when I am in the studio, it's generally when April's asleep, so I can't just sort of put my music on and escape because it's right next to her studio. So struggling to find the motivation, but I did kick my butt a little bit, got in there, did my half an hour, which I recorded. So it's been a while, so you guys will see that after this little bit. But yeah, so got all the pencils done for page 7, so that's all ready to go now. And then started inking it. So managed to finish the first panel, and hopefully tonight I'll be able to finish the next couple of panels. I also need to print out the next page as well, because if I don't print that out, I won't have anything to do over the weekend if I finish inking this one. I probably could just scan everything in and do those, which might not be a bad idea. It'll mean that I'll just catch up on everything that needs to go up onto Patreon. And then I'll just have that all ready and queued up for the next few pages, rather than have to do them week by week. So that's actually not a bad idea now that I've sort of verbalized it. And I'll still print the stuff out just in case I have time to do some penciling and inking as well over the weekend. But yeah, finding motivation just to get into it, and make sure I get the comics done. Really struggling lately. I think, especially 2 being just over the halfway mark now in the challenge, I suppose it almost feels a little bit stale. Like I feel like the excitement of the challenge is definitely over now. The first 20 days is exciting, and everyone's sort of commenting and watching and things like that, and there's a lot of interaction. And then as you get into the middle, it starts to sort of dip down and gets a little bit quieter. I find that, and that was like when I did my Kickstarter, it was really exciting at the beginning, massive lull in the middle, and then got really excited at the end again. And I think that'll be the same thing here. The downside is that that's staying continuous through not just the videos, but also with my drawing. I'm just finding more and more that I just want to take a day off. I just want to go, I just want one day where I don't have to draw this bloody comic. Not that I hate it, the way I said that makes it sound like I'm over it. I'm not. But some nights it's like, I just want to work on the commission, or I just want to work on Kill the Hero or something like that. Just take a monkey junk break, or even just do some general drawing. I know I did a little bit the other week, but I feel like at the moment I feel like I don't have the time to do that. So trying to find the time to just do my own drawing as well. I miss that. I know I talked about scheduling. I need to get back on that, and I've talked about it a lot, but actually putting it into action was a whole nother thing. So although I'm trying to make sure that I do, well, every day I do 30 minutes of monkey junk, not every day do I do 30 minutes on Kill the Hero, although I've gotten a lot better this week doing that. It's just a process of creating that habit, but working all day makes that really hard. And I'm just trying to find ways to escape as well. I'm trying to get back into music a little bit more. A lot of the music that used to inspire me, or just sort of excite me and get me pumped up. I've been listening to a lot of Panic at the Disco lately, a band I used to love when I was younger, and then when they released their album after Vices and Virtues, and wasn't a big fan of it, so I sort of just dropped off, and and then recently at one of my friends' weddings, one of their songs to their dance was a really beautiful Panic at the Disco song, and that sort of reinvigorated my, hey, I want to listen to Panic again. So I've been listening to them, and I love the way that they write. They're very story-driven songs, very unique. So I've been enjoying those, and that's in part got me into listening to Chemical Romance a little bit more. Nick Cave and Johnny Cash have been right up there. So finding that listening to those is sort of helping drive me a little bit more, because they're just very motivational, inspirational songs that get me excited creatively. Thinking about all the stories that they're making me think of helps me develop more in my mind. One thing I'm noticing lately too is I used to have stories just sort of falling out of my head for so long, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what's happened, but these stories have just stopped. And I think it could be because of Monkey Junk. I'm so focused on Monkey Junk that I'm not really allowing anything else in, potentially. The other thing that I really need to do, and I keep telling myself every day, I'll do it, is just picking up some comics and reading them. I haven't read a comic in probably a couple of months. Probably, yeah, like maybe at the beginning of the challenge I know I did a little bit of reading, but since then I haven't done a whole lot. And reading comics and looking at comics and studying comics is a huge inspiration for me, and that inspiration turns into motivation to create my own, to get better, etc, etc. Yesterday my friend Luke was showing me some stuff that Sean Murphy had done, some beautiful background work. It's like, man, I'd love to be able to create backgrounds like that. And it was just that reminder of, one, I need to be looking at these other artists who are doing well, see what they're doing, what I want to achieve by seeing them, and then focusing that energy into actually building up, onto that. And I've got to do that within Monkey Junk at the same time because of sort of time restraints, I suppose. I've definitely seen a difference with Monkey Junk and its development. Like if I look at the first page, I can see more development into the current pages. Using much finer pens as well to do backgrounds and things like that. But I was pretty adamant I was only going to use the one, like the 0.5 and up, whereas now I'm moving into the 0.1, which is quite fine. And I'm also even thinking, like, man, this might not even be fine enough. Like sometimes I just really want to get into the nitty gritty. So now I'm trying to find, I might be going down to the art shop on Saturday morning and just picking up a few extra little supplies, a few extra pens and whatnot to try out, see what they've got. Yeah, and that might give me a good motivation too, is actually getting down to the art shop. I was looking at paper the other week. I went to Riot Art and Craft, which I really don't like as a store, but it was the only store I could really get to at the time, and it's an art store. At least I can have a bit of a browse. But as far as their products go, they're very student-based products. They're not art quality. They don't have really good paper stock, and it was very frustrating because they were trying to sell me, I was like, I want a really smooth paper, like a Bristol board. Like, oh, we don't have Bristol, but why don't you try Bond paper? I'm like, Bond paper's like 70 grams. Like, why would I want that? Like, it's loose and it's gross. Like, I want nice, thick, good quality paper. So they weren't really a lot of help, and don't think they quite understood. Like, the person I was talking to knew I worked in an art shop as well, so I don't know why she was trying to sell me paper, when she knew that I already knew what I was looking for, in a sense. So anyway, I'm going to go back to my old art shop that I used to work at and talk to them and see what they've got. I've got a paper in mind if I don't find anything new or in particular, so hopefully I can do that. But just finding the paper that I'm using is nice, but it's not exactly what I want. There's something about it that just doesn't excite me when I'm putting ink to paper. I just feel like there's a little bit of resistance that's struggling for me, and I suppose that's coming back to maybe why I don't want to do it as well, why I'm struggling more to want to get into the studio, because I'm not enjoying the tools I'm using as much as I was at the beginning, which is really frustrating too, because I don't want to change all my tools up halfway through. Like, there's been times where I've just wanted to pick up a brush pen and do the comic in a brush pen just to see how it looks, but if I do one page in the brush pen, you'll notice it'll stand out like dog shit, and I don't want that. So Sorry, look, just making sure that I don't get hit by a car here. There we go, through the roundabout. Have my sip of coffee. So yeah, I think the added stress from work's probably got a bit to do with it as well. So with that calming down, that might have helped the situation of getting back into the studio. But actually, there was one other thing that I was thinking about yesterday, and I don't know if there's a correlation between this, and there possibly is, although I don't want to think that there is, because I feel like that's such a selfish thought process. But last week I was doing the live streams on Instagram, and I got barely any interaction. People jumped on for like a whole 2 seconds and then left. No one stayed to chat. No one, like I was trying to engage with people, but no one was engaging back. People were just leaving, and it was very discouraging, because I was like, well, I just want to talk to you guys and hang out while I draw, but no one wanted to talk. And I thought people might get excited by the fact that they can jump on and chat and talk with me, and like when I do that with other artists, like it excites me that I can actually have a legitimate conversation with these artists, in real time, rather than have to ask them a question and wait for them to reply, etc., etc. It's so much fun, and I was sort of surprised that no one wanted to do that, and it became a little bit discouraging, because I was wanting to do a live stream on Friday afternoon, and then I was like, I don't really want to anymore, because I just don't feel the need. I posted up an Instagram story with one of those polls saying, should I do a live stream tonight? And I saw about 10 people, like before anyone had even voted, 10 people had viewed the story, but no one voted. Like no one actually took that extra second to just hit yes or no. I found that really interesting, that how people interact that way. Some people just sort of want to flick through, flick, see something interesting, flick, see something interesting, flick. Their engagement isn't as involved as other people. So I'm finding that with the majority, and that becomes demotivational as well. Same as like I'm posting on the Monkey Junk pages on Patreon, and that's great and all, and thank my supporters, and there is some feedback coming through, and it's nice. But a lot of my patrons don't use Patreon all the time, so at the moment, like there might only be 1 or 2 likes on the pages when I've got, I think, 9 or 10 patrons. And you would think that people paying would reflect more on what they're seeing and how they're reacting, but it doesn't. It's really, really interesting. And this isn't me complaining about that. Like I said, I'm super thankful for everyone who supports me, and I know that they support me and enjoy the art that I create. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. But it's really interesting, because if I was, posting it publicly, I'd probably get more interaction from it, and it makes me want to post it publicly, but I owe it to them to give it to them early. So I don't know. Yeah, there's always little things that just sort of kill your motivation to want to keep going, because and it is that standard thing. I try not to get too in my head about it, and I think I'm a lot better than what I used to be 5-10 years ago. But you would post something on DeviantArt or Instagram or whatever it was, and you get minimal response, or you don't get the response that you expect, especially if you're so involved and invested in what it was you created. It's very discouraging. You're like, well, why do I bother? It's easy to get into that mindset, and then you lose motivation, you stop doing it, and the more you stop doing it, the less likely you are to continue doing it as well. So going back to the studio, the more time I take out of the studio and go, well, I can just do this digitally, the less time I'm going to want to spend in the studio later on. So I think I need to force myself to continue to work in there, to make sure that I actually continue doing it. When I was working freelance, every morning it was a habit to make a coffee, go in my studio, check my emails, and get to work. And that's what I did. So maybe I just need to make that studio as much of a habit as the actual 30 minutes itself. I don't know. I'm going to leave it there. I'm rambling a fair bit, but hopefully there was some, tidbits in there that helped you guys, or, it definitely helped me just talking about it, as it always does. I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 58, and I will hopefully have done some more penciling or inking tonight to show you guys. Alright, there's some real idiots on the road today, like just speeding past me. I'm trying to get into the left lane and they won't even let me. And if they let me, they could just overtake me. So God knows what their plan is. Alright, well, gotta love Melbourne traffic on a Thursday morning. Alright guys, I'll catch you all tomorrow. I'm just rambling now. Have a good